UN Special Envoy discusses with the head of PLC latest Houthi escalation. The United States urges the Houthis to stop attacks on Yemen's oil ports. The ongoing conflict has left millions of Yemenis without means of supporting their families. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Injil Zazi. Head of the Presidential Leadership Council, Rashad al-Arimi, met with the United Nations Special Envoy Hans Grunberg in the Jordanian capital Amman. The meeting touching on the recent Houthi escalation, the UN efforts to revive the peace, and the government's measures to classify the Houthi militia as a terrorist organization. In Amman, also the head of the PLC met with the European Union mission and the German ambassador. The chairman of the PLC clarified that the Council has taken measures against the Houthi militia, and this doesn't mean closing the door to political dialogue and peace efforts in the country. The United States has called on the Houthis to stop attacking oil ports and civilian infrastructure in Yemen. This came in a statement by the U.S. State Department. According to them, the U.S. Special Envoy will travel to Oman and Saudi Arabia this week to support peace efforts in Yemen. This report has more.
Nearly 2 months after a fragile truce in Yemen fell apart, the Biden administration urged the country's Houthi rebels to halt their attacks on ports, which risk rekindling the conflict. The Iran-backed militia has launched repeated attacks in recent weeks on seaports and oil facilities in areas controlled by the government, impeding the flow of petroleum exports and putting more pressure on negotiators trying to resurrect a ceasefire agreement between Yemen's warring parties. The Houthis most recently attacked the Al-Dabba oil facility in Yemen's Hadramaut province last week. The commercial port of Qina in the southern Shabwa province has also been attacked by the militia. We call on the Houthis to immediately cease their attacks on Yemeni ports, the State Department said in a statement on Monday. Such attacks only risk plunging Yemenis into another pointless cycle of violence and suffering. The appeal to the Houthis comes as U.S. Special Envoy for Yemen Tim Lunderking travels to Amman and Saudi Arabia in an effort to revive the UN-mediated ceasefire that broke down in the first few days of October. According to Lunderking, the Houthis are solely responsible for the truce's failure, since their last-minute demands for unpaid public sector salaries hijacked the negotiations. The ceasefire, which lasted from April to October, resulted in a 60% decrease in casualties, established a few foreign flights from the airport in rebel-held Sana'a, and increased fuel shipments to the Houthi-controlled port of Hodeidah. The 6-month break in hostilities also raised the possibility of a diplomatic resolution to the 8-year conflict between the Houthis and Yemen's government. The conflict has killed hundreds of thousands of Yemen citizens and frequently brought the impoverished nation to the verge of famine. Despite continuous charges from Washington that Iran is arming the Houthis, Iran has expressed support for the tenuous ceasefire. According to U.S. sources, the Houthis were able to launch drone and missile assaults on Saudi Arabia thanks to the arms transfers and training they received from Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
A Houthi mine claimed the life of a child and injured another in Al-Hodeidah. Local sources reported the death of a child when a mine left behind by the Houthi militia exploded while they were grazing sheep in Al Jabaliyah area. The sources said that the mine explosion caused the death of 5 sheep. In Al Bayda, the government forces repelled the Houthi attack on the Thara front. Field military sources stated that the rebel militia failed to infiltrate positions on the front, and there were deaths and injuries among the ranks. In Shabwa, the Giants Brigade shot down a Houthi drone. Local sources said that the Giants Brigade air defenses managed to deal with a Houthi drone after it was spotted and shot down before achieving its target. The humanitarian crisis in Yemen could double over the next year. The committee said that the decrease in funding for humanitarian programs is one of the factors, pointing out that Yemen is going through one of the most difficult times in its modern history, with 19 million people suffering from food insecurity. The National Committee for Women in Shabwa organized a workshop on raising awareness of the dangers of violence against women. The chairman of the National Women's Committee called on everyone to support and assist the committee so that it can play its required role in serving women. In Hodeidah, the Yemeni Response Council distributed emergency shelter kits for the displaced in Hais and countryside. The beneficiaries are among thousands of families who fled the war and their villages are near the front. This report has more details.
In Hodeidah Governorate, the Yemeni Response Council inaugurated the distribution of emergency shelter kits for the displaced people who live in the city of Hais and the villages of its celebrated countryside, with funding from the International Organization for Migration.
Today, we launch in Hais district a campaign to distribute 323 tents to displaced people. The Yemeni Council for Response organized this campaign. There are also 16 cases from the displaced in Hais who were given furniture items. We thank the International Organization for Migration for its help, which is the first in Hais. Also, we urge the IOM to further help displaced people. Some other displaced people didn't get neither tents nor furniture. They were forced out by Houthis and they live at the front line. We are displaced by the war. For the first time, we are being aided by shelters since the beginning of the conflict. We were living in very stressful circumstances.
323 emergency shelters and 16 non-food bags were distributed to the displaced people affected by the war, who live in the areas of displacement in the worst living conditions and the lack of most basic necessities of life.
The families that benefit from this aid are those who were forced out because of the war and the missiles that drop on their heads. There are other families who are confined to areas that are planted by landmines and there is difficulty to access the places. Most of them are shepherds and farmers.
The beneficiaries are among thousands of families who fled the war and their villages are located near the front lines of war. They include families from the villages of Maqbana, west of Taiz, and from the districts of Jabal Ras and Al-Jarrahi, south of Hodeidah.
The ongoing war has left millions of Yemenis without a means of supporting their families. Fuad Ghalib is an old man who has been affected by the war. More on Fuad's story is in the following report.
This 60-year-old man begins his day with collecting al-mashaqir flowers. The old man Fuad takes from this beautiful field al-mashaqir flowers.
I start my day early. I collect al-mashaqir flowers, then I go to Taiz to sell them and I walk for about half hours.
Fuad Ghalib collects al-mashaqir flowers to sell them in the city as he walks long distances to be able to provide for his family. Al-mashaqir is his only source of income.
I have been working on selling mashaqir in this street for 8 years. Sometimes I earn a lot of money and sometimes nothing. I just throw it. I'm a father of 9 kids, plus my parents who are staying with me. 2 of my kids are physically handicapped.
Many people support this old man Fuad, who sells al-mashaqir flowers.
He walks long distances to provide for his children. He makes a living by selling al-mashaqir. They have great benefits and back then it was used for the breath and stomach problems.
This old man should be an inspiration to all young men as he still works and tries to provide for his family despite his age and the Houthis' suffocating control.
A number of traders in Taiz went on a strike over repeated assaults committed by members of police station. Taiz merchants held that the local authority and the security services responsible for the attacks that the merchants are subjected to and called on them to intervene and stop such assaults.
We organized this strike today in protest against the practices of the head of the local police department. We urge the local authority and the police to arrest that responsible, to stop him from work and to refer him to investigation. There was an order issued in October to arrest that official, but no action was taken in this regard up to the moment.
Coming next in the news. Flashes of Arab unity crystallized the World Cup after years of row.
ننزل ندي ماء من الغيل والغيلة بعيد، كنا ندي بالدواب نعبي ماء وترجعنا. كنا ننزل الساعة 5 رجعنا الساعة 9.
ما يقلنا ظهر لأنه زحمة ما حد لي يخلي الجهل يغرق وإحنا تعبنا زيادة.
وكنت أحس صدري يوجعني وعز قدرك ركبي يوجعيني.
كنا بنستخدم حتى نغسل أولادنا يعني بأيام معدودة.
كنت أغيب على المدرسة لأن كنت أروح الديمة.
حتى وإن كان يجي الأمطار تروح هدن لأنه ما في معي خزانة.
الوقت نشتري ب30,000 دي مع هستيلك ما يغلقش معها الشهر.
بس راح تطلب الله ولا أي حاجة، عاملة كل شغلك الماء.
Welcome back. A large crowd of Yemenis attended the funeral of Abdelaziz al-Maqaleh, the great Yemeni writer and poet, to his final place. The family of the deceased rejected the request of the Houthi militia to conduct an official funeral under their supervision and preferred the popular one instead.
الدكتور عبد العزيز المقالح غني عن التعريف كان أبا.
Dr. Abdelaziz al-Maqaleh is very popular here. He is a father, a writer, a great poet, and a fighter for the revolution and the republic. He has worked before at Sana'a University and was a great father to all the students here. He is a poet that all Yemenis are proud of. His writings prevailed all Yemen. May God bless his soul. He was a great teacher and friend, especially during the time when we worked together at Sana'a University. We are praying for him since he passed away.
The United States of America has announced new support for Yemen with more than $4 million to combat child malnutrition. The U.S. Embassy in Yemen said that the program will be implemented in partnership with the Ministry of Public Health and Population. The United States is one of the largest donors to Yemen, as the total funding provided so far amounts to $1 billion. The Yemeni government and Japan signed an agreement to postpone the debt owed by Yemen. The Minister of Finance praised the support of the Japanese International Cooperation Agency for the Yemeni government and said such a move can help in boosting up the national economy. Climate change and torrential rains have affected thousands of families in Yemen. One family in Taiz is living in the open, without shelter, and calls for help, especially during winter. This report has more on this.
A whole family of 11 members became homeless. 5 of them are disabled and sleep in the outdoors in Al-Azaz, which is located in Dar al-Kawla of Al-Muhayliqa in Taiz Governorate. The family of Yasin Yahya Sulaiman lives in a stable where previously animals used to live in. Yasin is 70 years old and unable to make a living to provide the most basic necessities of a decent life. One of the family members cannot stand the severe cold weather. Those handicapped people lived in small rooms that the villagers called badima. As a result of the heavy rains, their house was destroyed and they need a dwelling to protect them from the severity of the winter. Ulfat Yasin suffers from epilepsy and convulsions. The father is jobless and in desperate need for help and support.
I am responsible for 11 people, of whom 5 are handicapped. I couldn't transfer them to any other residence, as this land and the stable belong to their owners, and they always threatened us to evict us because they want to restore the stable to keep their animals in. Once, while my children were sleeping inside it, part of it fell down on them. We cannot do anything, and our financial situation is really difficult, as you can see. I do not have a salary or any kind of support. I plead charities and organizations to help us because we are helpless.
أنا بالنسبة لي شخصيا هذا جيراني ياسين يحيى سليمان.
I know this family very well. They are my neighbors. Yasin has a big family with some handicapped and orphans among them. I plead whosoever can help extend a hand to this family. Some people help them to survive, but still it isn't enough. Mud houses can be destroyed by heavy rains and people could be buried beneath.
Extreme poverty and diseases attacked this family due to the absence of the organizations in the city of Shamaitain in Tai's governorate. During such circumstances of the economic deterioration, citizens are constantly worried and hopeless and have no clue on how to survive for another day.
Flashes of Arab unity among Arab nations have crystallized the World Cup in El Doha after years of political row. This proves again that sports can mend what politics could not. The following report gives more details.
For a brief moment after Saudi Arabia has fired the ball from just inside the penalty box into the back of the net to seal a World Cup win against Argentina, Arabs across the divided Middle East found something to celebrate. Qatar is hosting the World Cup, providing a moment where many in the Arab world have rallied to the victory of the Saudi team. All Arabic countries are celebrating because one Arab team won. The Arab world's divisions start even with the Arabic language, as spoken Arabic changes regionally from one place to another. Religion is another differentiator. There are Muslims, both Sunni and Shia, Christians and others. Different views on religion and regional oppositions bleed into conflicts, such as the ongoing war in Yemen. But despite an attempt by Al-Qaeda to stir up extremists, the World Cup in Qatar so far has seen unity among the Gulf Arab nations. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the heads of state in two countries, had attended the tournament's opening match. Qatar's hosting of the tournament, a milestone for all Arabs. The World Cup is being held for the first time in an Arabic country. Qatar did a tremendous job organizing the World Cup and never claimed it was perfect. There could be some differences in opinion and views, but that should not take away the fact that Qatar has really put together a World Cup that is unique in every sense of the word. The biggest surprise came 2 days later as Saudi Arabia stunned Argentina by winning their opener in the tournament. Saudi Arabia's King Salman declared a public holiday to commemorate the win. In the kingdom and outside of it, people cheered and waved the country's green and white flag to celebrate. The whole world is witnessing a great time of unity and solidarity between different Arab countries.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. UN Special Envoy discusses with the head of PLC latest Houthi escalation. The United States urges the Houthis to stop attacks on Yemen's oil ports. The ongoing conflict has left millions of Yemenis without means of supporting their families. This is the end of the news. It was Angel Zazi, and thank you for watching.